I was 10 years old when I realized that there were only two kinds of girls. Girls who were good in gym and girls who were good in school. So I was in 5th grade, and we had just come back from gym, and I don't have any memory of what we did, but I can promise you it didn't go well for me. And I was sitting back in my classroom, feeling bad and feeling sorry for myself. And then I had a little epiphany too. There are two kinds of girls. Girls who are good in gym, and I should explain, it was the late 60s, and I watched a lot of television. So, girls who are good in gym. They're thin, they're pretty, they're probably blonde, and boys pay a lot of attention to them, so they are going to grow up and get married and have families. Now, I wasn't good at gym, but there's that other kind of girl, the girls who are good in school. And they don't have to be thin or pretty, and they're probably not blonde, but they are smart. And they could go to college and have fabulous careers and make a ton of money. I'm like, yeah, I could do that. So I literally made up my mind that day. You are going to be a girl who is good in school. And except for math, I already got pretty good grades. But I thought, no, you have to get really good grades. You are going to have a great career and make a ton of money. And that'll make up for all the rest of it. And at 10 years old, it actually did become a self-fulfilling prophecy. Fast forward to when I was 30. I was still single. I had no prospects. But I did own a video production company, and I had a nice office, and I had staff, and I had a ton of very expensive equipment and a nice roster of political clients and corporate clients, and a lot of money ran through that business. Almost enough money to run it. I didn't know how to run a business, and most months I could not take enough money out to pay my own bills. Now, by my mid-30s, I was really sick of it. I really was. I was sick of my business. I was sick of my 18-hour days. I was sick of coming home to an empty house, and maybe there wouldn't be all the utilities turned on. And I was also sick of dating. Gotta be honest. In Lafayette, Indiana, at that time, let's just say that the pool of professional eligible bachelors was a little thin. But you know, when you met another professional woman, you'd find you had a lot in common because you dated all the same guys. I'm not kidding. You say, you dated him, I dated him. You dated him too? Yeah, well, okay. So, around 35 or so, I had another flash of insight. I finally realized what I really needed, what I needed to be happy and fulfilled. I needed a baby. Yeah, that's what I need, a baby. Perfect. I have no money. I don't know what I'm doing. I gotta have a baby. But how do you pull that off when you don't even want to date anybody? Well, I opened up the Lafayette Journal and Courier one morning, and there's a story about a sperm bank that's going to open up in West Lafayette. And it got better. They named my family doctor as the guy who was going to do the checkups on the men to make sure they were healthy. I know. So I called his office, and he got on the phone with me, and I explained why I was calling, and he said, well, slow down. I'm doing the checkups on the men, but the insemination has to be done by a gynecologist. Well, okay, that's fine. Well, but then he said, you know, I have an idea. Here's what we're going to do. When you register with the sperm bank, They're going to give you a list, no names, just code numbers. But you're going to come over to the office here, and I'm going to have another list for you, and there's going to be a couple stars by a couple of the codes, and you're going to want to pick one of those. I thought, whoa. Insider trading at the sperm bank, right? I mean, it doesn't get any better than that, does it? So, it was around Halloween, and I went home to visit my parents up near Chicago, and I told them my plan, that I'm going to become a single mother through artificial insemination. And my mother said, "Oh, that sounds nice." So I went home. I made an appointment with a gynecologist. You had to go talk to him first, they said, and then schedule the insemination. So I'm waiting in the waiting room, and I'm waiting, and somebody taps me on the shoulder. I'm like, what? It's a nurse, and she beckons me this way, and we go over behind a potted plant. I'm not kidding, a potted plant. And I know what you're wondering, Myra, do good things happen behind a potted plant at the gynecologist's office? No, they do not. And sure enough, she said to me, "I just looked to see why you were here. And I wanted to tell you, Doc's gonna say no." I'm like, "No? He's gonna say no?" And she said, "Yeah, he's a Christian and he will not inseminate single women." Well, when I calmed down, I thought, I don't really have the right to ask a person with firm moral beliefs to do away with those beliefs for me. I don't have that right. And I also realized I wasn't prepared to spend the next 20 plus years trying to convince people that I hadn't just gotten knocked up. So I talked to friends, what other options were there? And somebody said, there's a couple in Lafayette who adopted 2 little girls from Haiti. You should meet them. So I got kind of an introduction, and they invited me to come to dinner and meet the girls, who were adorable. And they told me how easy it was to adopt from Haiti. You could practically come back on the airplane with a baby in your carry-on bag. It was so simple. And I thought, wow. Instant gratification. It doesn't get any better than that, does it? So I went home to visit my parents. Now it's Thanksgiving. And I said, got a new plan. I'm going to become the single mother of a Haitian baby. And my dad said, "Oh, that sounds nice." Like, okay. So I went home. But I started doing a little bit of reading about what was going on in Haiti, and it was really the politics, the social, everything was breaking down. And there was a possibility that you could end up adopting a baby that had been kidnapped from a family that wanted that baby. And I thought, I can't do that. So I went over to the Tippecanoe County Welfare Department, because they do the county adoptions. And they said, well, you're 35 and you're not married, but if you have patience, we might eventually be able to offer you a handicapped baby or an older child who's been taken out of a troubled home. I thought, okay, sure. I filled out the paperwork. And I went home and I talked to my parents. Now it was Hanukkah, Christmas time. And I said, okay, new plan. I am going to eventually become the single mother of a physically and or emotionally handicapped child. And my parents said, "Oh, that sounds nice." I was thinking, are you even listening to me now? But I went home to wait, okay? And then my brother and my sister-in-law called me and asked me if I would come up to Wisconsin and watch their 2 little daughters for a week while they went on a cruise. They were 2 and 5. And I said, sure. And I tell you, Caitlin and Nicole and I had the best time. Every day we went to the pool and the park and the playground, and then we go to Dairy Queen, because that's the only way to get the girls out of the pool or the park or the playground. Say, if you come with me, we'll go to Dairy Queen. And by the end of the week, I'd gained 5 pounds, and I was exhausted. But I wanted a baby right now, because that was so much fun. I have to have a baby now. So I'm driving home through Milwaukee, back to Indiana, and I'm looking on the radio for something to listen to. And here comes the music from All Things Considered on National Public Radio. And they were just in the middle of an interview about international adoption in China. And I guess I didn't even know about this, but they'd had an international adoption program. They did away with it, and now they were reopening it. And they only had 2 requirements for parents that they cared about. You had to be over 35 and have no other kids. And it was like a sign. I thought, wow. Because everything that was wrong with me to do a domestic adoption was okay with them. So I went home, and I was very excited about it. And I swear to you, this is true. I opened up the Journal and Courier the next morning, and there's a story about a local woman whose daughter had adopted a little girl from China. And I thought, okay, I get it. You don't have to hit me with this big stick. I get it. All right. Now, I did not go home to check that plan out with my parents. I decided to listen to my heart. I tried to listen to my brain first, but my brain said, you know, you like Chinese food. I'm like, never mind. I listened to my heart, and my heart said, oh, that sounds nice. And less than a year later, I came home with my baby daughter, Samantha, who I named her that just so I could call her Sammy. And it sounds like the end of my motherhood story, but it's sort of only the beginning. There came a day, not too long after that, maybe a year, she was just starting to say English words, and she liked to point at things, and I would tell her what those things were. And we were flipping through a magazine. She would point, and I would say the word. I flipped open a page, and she pointed to a really gorgeous male underwear model. And before I could think, what do I call that? She said, Daddy. And I thought, wait a minute. How do you even know that word? You don't have one. And then I thought, oh, okay. I get it. Well, the story of how I met David and how we got married is a little long. You can see me after the show, and I'll tell you that part. It's pretty funny, too, actually. Suffice it to say that we've been married for 25 years. Yeah. And along the way, we adopted a little boy from Vietnam who was a year old at the time. When I talk to parents about parenting, I like to say that Sammy was sent into my life to teach me that I could redefine myself. I didn't have to be just a crappy businesswoman. I could be a really good mom. And just about the time I started believing that, the universe sent Mikey to show me that I didn't know jack about that either. Mikey was sent to humble me, and he has. But Sammy and Mikey and David are the lights of my life. Thank you. And now I also have a 3-year-old grandson and a son-in-law. And Mikey has a girlfriend that I really like. No pressure, but I really like her. And you know what that means, right? Bonus kids. It doesn't get any better than that. Thank you.